Welcome along to the Make Life Work podcast with me, Si Jobling. I'm a software engineering manager, father of two, and in any spare time, I try to work on a variety of side projects, including communities and podcasts. Based on all this, I like to share my thoughts and experiences with fellow people from around tech about how we all try to find a balance for day jobs, life, and any side projects. For the 7th season of the podcast, we're continuing the project-specific format from season 6. By diving into their projects, we hope to uncover some of the tips and tricks everyone uses to make them happen, so you lovely listeners can learn from our experiences to complete your own side hustles. This week, we're talking to Silvia and Ely, a couple from Surrey, UK, who have established a candle making and wellbeing startup through the pandemic. I've known Ely for several years through work, so when I found out about the business he had helped set up with his partner Silvia and build a website around the original offline product range, I was curious about how they went about it, how they worked together as a couple, but also find a balance for quality time together offline. This is Making Candles with Silvia and Ely. So welcome along, Silvia and Ely. How are you doing on a lovely Friday?
We're good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Happy Friday to you too.
Happy Friday. So thanks for joining us on the podcast. This is all about making a thing and finding time for it in between life and work. Obviously, you guys have got a bit of a background. So how about you take your turns and tell me about what you do and how you got there? Sylvia, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Okay. Well, I'm a candle maker. That's what I do. I make plant-based candles with soy wax blended with essential oils, and I've been doing this for 2.5 years-ish. And I'm also a meditation teacher. That's more recent though. So that's a qualification that I got pretty much last year during lockdown. And now I try and combine candles and meditation and well-being together. So my candles are mainly a ritual towards our general well-being, our mental health, to help, fight with anxiety, depression, low moods, kind of helps as a self-care routine, emotional regulation in general. So that's what I do, and my brand is called Red Fox Candle.
It's a wonderful background though, the fact you do all this well-being stuff. It's not just about a candle, it's actually about why we have a candle in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's I always say to my customers that each scent can have a specific meaning. It's not just lighting a candle just for the actual smell that you like, or just because it's just pretty, but you can really set an intention around lighting a candle for yourself. Sometimes the scent can change depending on your mood. If you're looking to feel a bit more calm, relaxed, to unwind after a really long, stressful day, if you feel a little bit anxious or a bit stressed, then you can choose a scent such as, for example, such as lavender and orange. So different combinations that can definitely make you feel in a different way. It can either uplift you or make you feel a bit calmer, a bit more regulated. So yeah, it can be a complete full well-being ritual for yourself. So yeah.
And as a customer of yours pretty recently,
Yeah.
I can completely vouch for the benefits of what you do there as well.
Oh,
definitely helps.
Thank you.
Ely, would you want to tell us about your background as well?
Oh, well, I think mine's going to be a lot more boring compared to the amazing intro that Silvia gave.
Oh, come on.
I'll try. So, yeah, I'm Ely. I'm a senior QA engineer. My background has mainly been in tech for the last 10 or so years, I believe. I've forgotten. So on the side, I do a lot of freelance work, notably the Red Fox Candle website. But I mainly like to muck around with JS-based applications, either React or React Native, and that's me in a nutshell.
In a nutshell,
I told you it's nowhere near as good.
Well, it's quite simple, in the address, but obviously a lot more detailed in the background.
Yeah, for sure.
But so, just before we go into like the projects and like Red Fox and all that sort of stuff, how did you guys meet? Because this could be an interesting part of it all as well.
Okay.
There could be two different sides of the tale.
Let's see. Well,
Well, let's hear your rendition first.
okay. Well, basically, we met during the first lockdown, right? I think it was about June. But we basically met because I did an Instagram live with a friend of mine. We have a friend in common. Her name is Mish. And so I did an Instagram live with her, and Eli joined. Obviously, I didn't know him at that point. I actually thought that he was a troll on the internet, commenting on my dungarees while I was doing the live. And I was like, who's this guy? And then nothing. So after that, I had a conversation with my friend Mish, who basically was talking about Eli and how amazing Eli is. And I was like, okay, fine. Let me give this a go. So
let me give this a go.
So Eli started following me on Instagram, and then I follow him back, and then we just started chatting. So he slid into my DMs. That's the story.
Slide into the DMs. I'd like to hear if Eli's got any slightly variation on this.
I sent a polite message.
You sent a polite message. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you were never rude.
Yeah. I decided to follow her on Instagram, and about 2 weeks later, she decided to follow me back and actually engage with me. And then, I went from there. We're just non-stop talking since.
So that was about a year and 14, 15 months ago, something like that?
Yeah, around about that.
Yeah,
wow.
Pretty much.
So you were a lockdown romance, met on Instagram. Wow. Proper modern couple as well.
I think a lot of couples literally started to date during lockdown in so many different ways. Like, a lot of romance kind of was born during lockdown, I think.
Well, there was opportunity to do that, wasn't it? It's just very difficult, and you had to be creative. How about you went finding them?
Exactly.
And being creative with like different ways of dating as well, because obviously so many places were closed during lockdown. I mean, our first date was literally like a walk in the park. That's what we did.
When you're allowed to.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that was fun. That was something a bit different, a bit unique and unusual, rather than just going to a bar.
Yeah, I think that was, completely different. So it's so much so that I didn't even realize it was a date.
Oh, yeah, you didn't know.
Because I was so used to just going to bars and things like that. And...
Yeah, you realize that later.
And then you realize, a park's a thing. Excellent. That's cheaper.
Yeah.
Although we did get to use the Oculus Quest while we were in there.
We did, yeah. You brought it with you.
Yeah, she really wanted to use a VR headset that I had. So, doing VR boxing in a park somewhere in the middle of a sunny day.
Which is a very traditional model, relationship and first date.
Exactly.
They're a bit different. Sometimes we all need that.
I'm impressed by the ingenuity there. So I'll bring my VR headset with me and we can do something in the park.
Yeah. Just random boxing movements while people were walking by.
So it sounds like you kind of had a mutual interest and a friend, obviously, that kind of put you together. You're inspired by Eli's geeky ways, let's say. Let's just say that's not your normal kind of male, hello, want to play with my VR set. But then it lent well into, what happens with Red Fox. You kind of use the opportunity to create a brand online and push these products forward.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe because we're both ambitious, we're both good at setting a vision for ourselves, for what we want in our life. So it kind of, it blends in well with our personalities and how we set directions in our life.
Yeah, for sure. I think the drive is the main thing. It's kind of hard to do this with somebody that isn't driven or fancies procrastinating a lot of the time. So the fact that she has quite a clear goal in her mind, and I'm someone that likes to continue doing things until they're complete, it was sort of like a match made in heaven in that sense.
Oh. The heart coming out. You're feeling the love now. This is great.
This is romantic as it gets, so let's savour it while it lasts.
Wow.
And it's on record.
It's on record. So yeah, if anything happens, that's been said. I will remember that.
Indeed. So yeah, based on all that, then it sounds like you had like this shared drive and passion to do something together. But obviously, it lined back to your sort of goals, I guess, Silvia, in like what you wanted to do next. Can you tell us a bit about that opportunity, that eureka moment where you thought, well, let's make something out of this?
Probably when I realized that making candles wasn't just a hobby anymore, but was something that I could turn into a business and almost make it as an extension of myself, an extension of who I am and my personality. Red Fox Candle itself has always been in my heart a lot, because I started this business from a place of not knowing exactly who I was. It was, I actually felt a little bit all over the place. I had a lot of anxiety at that moment, and it was literally like the beginning of a self-discovery journey. Call it awakening, to be honest. I started making candles mainly to kind of ease my anxiety and find something that was quite therapeutic. Something where obviously I wasn't really using my mind a lot, but it was more like, just making and be creative and using so many scents and essential oils. So, and then obviously I was making candles for myself. Then I started selling them to friends. And then I realized that it was something it made such an impact on myself and how I felt within myself emotionally, how I was kind of looking at myself for like a complete different perspective. So then I decided, you know what, actually I can turn this into a business and transmit the same message to others. So it was a way for me to then be a service for others through scents, through creating a well-being ritual in that way. So that was my moment.
And where are we at now? So when was this that you kind of realized this is something you could do?
Pretty much, I would say, kind of 2.5-3 years ago. Right. And then, so then what I did, I started selling on Etsy. That was the main platform that I used. And then I started to connect with so many other small businesses on Instagram. I mean, since I opened my Red Fox Instagram account, I started looking for other small businesses in the area. I live in Surrey, so kind of in the Surrey area. And then I started attending markets, especially Christmas markets, everything around supporting local and small businesses. And that's how I met a bunch of other people and kind of grew from there, because there was a lot of networking and there was a lot of supporting each other, like literally small businesses supporting each other and giving each other advice on how to grow your business. That was amazing, because I think without that kind of support, I maybe wouldn't have done it, or I would have done it a bit in a different way, or I would have struggled more. So I felt like I was never on my own to do this.
Sure.
Yeah.
So going back a couple of years, and you kind of established this idea, this product. You got an audience, let's say, on Instagram and Etsy, but you actually made the most of those real world sort of market stalls as well, which is quite frankly where people go kind of smell it actually, rather than, you can't do that online.
No, exactly. I mean, it's just so much different. Like I genuinely love talking to people in person, talking to my customers, because the experience is very different, especially during Christmas time. And I mean, you just get to interact. You just get to like advise people on what scent might work for them in that moment. And definitely you get to smell all of the scents, and it's a completely different experience. But I have to say that online, especially after lockdown, online is the way to go. So there are so many ways you can still create like sample scents, for example, because like on my website and also on Etsy, for example, I do sell packs of tea lights with different scents. So that's a way people, if they're not sure which scent to go for and they don't want to invest straight away in buying a bigger candle, then they can just buy a pack of tea lights or even wax melts and just get the sample of each scent. So that's a way to do it. And, customers always contact me for advice. Even on Instagram, they always send me messages. So I'm always open for, just giving advice. Sometimes I even record videos just to give a bit of a recommendation on which scent to go for according to, how you feel, according to your mood, and kind of create, as I said before, creating a bit of a ritual around that. So whether it's also like a different type of meditation or morning or evening rituals. So I tend to give recommendations of like the differences in scents. So then people still have some specific guidelines online and they get a better idea of what to buy. So that's a way that you can do it. It was definitely helpful to do that during lockdown, for sure.
For sure. And I'll go into the lockdown moment shortly, but it sounds like you've kind of used that personal experience online and offline to really build your product and your brand as someone who's actually quite relatable, not just another thing out there, and it builds up that loyal customer base. So you've got returning customers, I'm hoping. Have you seen this happen with your audience at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I have lovely returning customers that they buy pretty much on a regular basis, like monthly basis as well. And it's just amazing to just have that continuous support all the time. And as you say, I think it's because I have shared as well part of my own personal experience and how I felt in challenging moments, or how I overcame moments that I had to overcome through, difficulties and just adding that candle experience. So it's almost, customers know that behind Red Fox Candle, there is an actual person who also goes through struggles in life, but, it tries to just genuinely interact and just share a message with other people and just trying to connect. Because at the end of the day, like I love to connect with others and just be a service for others, just be as helpful as possible, and creating a very supportive and helpful community in that way. This is, I think this is why I also have regular customers, is because they know me personally. They know that behind Red Fox Candle, there is Silvia, like one person pretty much doing it all. Well, now I've got Eli, so Eli helps. Eli also makes candles, so
really
you did make candles. So.
Well, made a candle.
You made a decent batch.
Decent is a very subjective word.
Hey, I made a decent candle with my wife, so I'll take that as well. It sounds like the brand is you. It's just Red Fox is the label for what you do, basically. But effectively, people are buying your experience and knowledge rather than just a thing that is off the shelf.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people realized it even more when I started doing in-person candle making workshops, because it was more about, not just the brand itself, but it was really about the connecting. And I just wanted to make sure that people could interact with each other while having a fun, creative and therapeutic experience, and not just obviously learning about the importance of soy wax and the importance of using essential oils in your daily life, but it was about the community and just doing in person. So I think I really felt the energy and the appreciation from my customers during the in-person workshops, and then obviously through that, then I obviously gained more customers as well in terms of buying my products, buying my candles, and just keep coming back. So for me, it's really about community.
Music to my ears, that is. You know what I'm like. But then obviously you had an amazing sort of experience pre-lockdown. What happened when lockdown hit? Because that must have been a massive curveball for you, being that in-person product that you were trying to push.
Yeah, I mean, shops were closed, so that was a bit of a struggle. But actually, online was even better. Like online sales were just going. And what I actually did during lockdown, I just came up with the idea of creating the candle making kits, because I remember that literally when lockdown hit, I was meant to host I think it was an Easter workshop in person, and I just had to refund everybody. I just had to refund all of my attendees. So initially I remember being a bit gutted about that, and I was like, gosh, what am I going to do now? Like, of course I can just keep selling online, that's no problem, but the workshops were such a big thing for me in terms of just interacting with customers in person and just, delivering that experience. So I decided to create candle making kits. And I started selling them online. I started promoting them on Instagram. It was great for even like parents and children making a candle together, because when you order the kit, I mean, at that point I wasn't really doing the workshops on Zoom as I did with you guys, but I was just simply selling the candle making kits, and then you just had the instructions sent to you online. But yeah, like everyone found it a great gift, and also something to do during the first lockdown, because like people were actually struggling, or they were bored, especially like with children. It's something that you can do anyway. And it's fun. You get to make your own candle, and then you get to have it and light it, and you get to choose your own scent. So that was the highlight of my lockdown, because it went so well and it was so popular, and I was just really happy that even during lockdown I could be a service for people in that way and just creating a new product. And I remember that I was also delivering in person if people were okay with that, especially with my local customers. So I was just trying to be as helpful as possible and try and make it easy for my customers as much as possible. So yeah, that went really well, and I'm very grateful that the candle making kits helped my customers kind of go through the lockdown.
Definitely. And at least you seized the opportunity. You didn't see it as like a massive blocker. Obviously, you had the Easter craft making sessions booked that you had to refund, but then you went, well, actually, we've got Zoom, and a lot of people are jumping on Zoom now. So guess what I could do? And as you say, we experimented with you about a month or so ago, didn't we? And it's a really nice experience. You get the box, it's lovely set up, you get it out. The children, like you say, the children get excited. It's not just the adults. Like, oh, can I help? I'm like, go on then. You probably do a better job than me anyway. But then you get that full experience with you on Zoom. It's not the same as being in person, but at least you're talking us through the candle making experience and what the scents mean and how to get the most out of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, the most important thing was still trying something different in challenging times. Because as a small business, you can either give up and say, well, there's lockdown, I'm stuck, there's nothing I can do. Or like, okay, like what do customers need right now? And how can I be helpful and kind of, change directions a little bit and adapt myself to the situation and still make something out of it. I think that's the most important thing for any business, really, is just trying to come up with something different and adapt to what's in front of you. So, you can still help your community through challenging times.
Totally. And you've mentioned a few times about the mental health element of what you do. Lockdown pushed everyone to their limits. And I think,
absolutely,
this was another way of kind of not monopolizing on it, but going, what will help you though is decent bloody candles that will make you feel better. And I can talk you through that experience, and not to commercialize, but you had a product that was really useful in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why I think as well, like during the first lockdown, that I decided as well to sign up to become a meditation teacher, to really combine the whole product experience. So then, yes, of course, you can purchase your own candle and you create that ritual for yourself, but then it's keep expanding and helping the community as much as possible, also through meditation, through that emotional support that my customers really needed at that time and still need, to be honest. So yeah, it's about adapting and changing and just try and be at service as much as possible.
Being loyal to your core as well.
Exactly.
We've talked a lot about the background as to what this came about. can we talk a bit about now the website and the tech behind it all? Because obviously Eli's had a say in the matter here. I'm curious to hear, how you worked out what the best solution was. You could have built Etsy, extended Etsy, or used a Shopify. What did you go for in the end, and how did you go about it?
Well, it was, we went through a few solutions, actually. I've got a few POCs that ended up not making it as the final cut. But
Classic.
I think initially, because of the lockdown and not knowing where things were going to be going in terms of sales, it was a bit of a big investment to use a platform like Shopify, because you have to pay upfront for a store regardless of sales. And if things don't go well, then you're in negative equity, basically. But if things do go well, then they take a cut of it. It's also quite hard to extend Shopify, because as Sylv mentioned earlier, she wanted to be able to do online candle making workshops and being able to book and things like that. The functionality didn't seem to be there out of the box with Shopify. There were a few plugins, but again, extendability of those, if she did want to extend further to offer other services, wasn't there. So I thought we could extend Etsy, but there's also the same problem of someone else hosting your company, basically. And if one day you had a parting of ways, or if they increase their fees, you have no control over that, and you have no control over your users' data either, which was a main thing. So knowing that she likes to market a lot of her products to the whole Red Fox Candle ecosystem, which includes meditation and other spiritual things, it'll be nice to have all of that data together so that she can actually give all of this to her customers and just expand her product without having to have two sets of databases to try and merge together. So decided to go down the solution of using Node and Express for a backend. I always had in my mind that I was going to use Next.js as the front end framework, just purely because I'm a JavaScript guy. I prefer React, but I didn't want to have to do all of the server-side rendering side of things. So that all came out of the box with Next.js, and it's so much easier to use as well. And then for the backend, we started off using Express, which was really cool. I like the fact that we had so much customizability. There's so many packages that you can actually use as well to help aid in adding functionality as well, especially with Passport for authentication and whatnot. But I then realized that I'm going to have to build the back end, the front end, and then I'd have to build a dashboard so that she could self-administer it. And I think that was the kicker, knowing that you'd have to do a complete other application just so that she could do it. Because otherwise it would just be me entering all of the products in on Node, getting the okay from her. And if she wants to change anything, she'll be reliant on me. And I mean, if I got run over by a bus the next day, the whole company would go down with it. So
I blame you.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted something that would be easy for her as a business owner and a product owner to be able to just self-administer and to be able to expand herself.
Of course.
So decided on using Strappy, which was I'd experimented with last year, and the product really wasn't that great. But over the last year, it's actually matured quite a bit. It's got a lot of backing and a lot of supporters on there as well. I don't know if I should go into a bit of what Strappy actually is, or whether it's...
Can we do a quick nugget of what that actually is? Because even I don't know.
Yeah. Strappy is just a node-based headless CMS framework, basically. So it's great. It's got an admin panel and UI out of the box. And you can just create APIs really easily, pretty much just using the UI, and then edit them in their schema files and things like that a bit later on down the line. So you've got full customizability and a lot of stuff like authentication and password reset out of the box.
Which again goes back to your point. If you're not available or something happens, Silvia can just take that and do most of it at least, right? Or outsource and say, well, actually, Eli's not got any time to do this anymore. I need someone else that might be able to help extend things.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we used that as the back end, and then I expanded that and it actually helped speed things up quite a bit, because instead of me having to gather images and upload them into a MongoDB database, I could say, hey, so if this part of it's ready, can you just upload all of these products and put in the prices and things like that? And it felt like we were doing twice the amount of work in half the amount of time, which was awesome. And I think the thing that really helped was the fact that she was actually really interested in the tech side of things.
Hey, so, I know all the error codes now.
Yeah, she learned error status codes and was looking up solutions on GitHub and things like that.
I actually did, yeah.
So she got really into it, and it got to the point where if she was somewhere else and spotted an issue, she would send me all of the information along with the error codes and what the response was saying. I can be like, oh, okay, I can fix that remotely and then sort it out.
You've got the ultimate product owner here, man. You understand error codes. I don't think many people can say that in your position.
Exactly. She's not far off building it herself and extending it herself.
Well, I guess because you taught me, so I think I pick up things quite quickly when it comes to learning new things. And I think as well for me, it was like really helpful to, like, I wanted to. Strappy is actually quite easy to use, and I wanted to help with the website. Like, I wanted to be part of the actual building, like building part of the website. So this is why I just wanted to learn as much as possible. I knew Strappy, so then it really felt like we were doing it together. It wasn't just you doing all of the work. So it was nice to just help out, even with like adding images and the products and stuff. And I quite like that admin side of stuff when it comes to, owning a business. So yeah, that helped.
That's great, because that's the bit I hate.
Good.
If you need help with your side project, either for inspiration, support, or just general feedback, remember to join our On the Side community on Slack. There are a number of previous guests from the podcast in there, including Sam Hardacre, Mike Street, Dom Hodgson, and Mark Lismore. Pop on over to ontheside.network, which will take you straight through to registration, and I'll see you in there. So obviously it's been an online store, and you've avoided the big boys like Shopify and Etsy and all that sort of stuff. How did you integrate like a decent payment provider that you could rely on, and you knew that it wasn't going to be whacking you with fees later down the line?
That one was quite an easy solution, actually. We had two main players, which were PayPal and Stripe.
The big boys, yeah.
Both of which have really cool SDKs and a lot of documentation. I'd say Stripe maybe more. We lean more towards Stripe because they have an easier integration with React in terms of being able to style your own checkout while being PCI compliant, which is something that we really needed to worry about.
Being European based.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is, Stripe has the ability to be able to handle subscriptions, which would be something that will be great to deal with later on down the line. So yeah, integrating that, and I was a bit worried because I hadn't worked on being a dev on actually implementing a payments platform before. So I was following the documentation, but I was worried that there might be loopholes. Being a QA engineer, I was approaching it from how can I hack this? So I just implemented a lot of monitoring with tools like Sentry and Logflare and things like that, just to see how people are actually interacting. And it was quite scary, actually, seeing the amount of bots and people from all over the world trying to enter checkout and try and break your application.
Totally. And you mentioned there, like, your background as a QA engineer. We've worked together for years in our company. We won't mention names. But we are exposed to all the opportunities and the risks that come with running these sort of large e-commerce stores. So you could use that knowledge in your own world, by the sound of it.
For sure. Yeah, there are so many threats out there, which I think even Silv wasn't aware of at the start. But I guess if half the people knew what actually goes on the internet, they
wouldn't use it.
They'd be a bit more wary. Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
But you're in a place now where you're quite happy with the website, the back-end tools, the products and lots of stuff. Has there been any other big hurdles you've tried to overcome over in this time?
I'd say on the tech side, one of the biggest hurdles while actually creating it was the candle making workshops
Right.
because one of the things I wanted to avoid, especially with ordering things like this, was to have a separate checkout journey if you are trying to book an online course. So being able to find specific products, identify that it's a candle making workshop, and be able to generate a PIN code and an ID so that you can actually log in, pick a date that you want to actually do the workshop and actually do it, was quite tough. I think I stopped after a while. I was going to implement that with a Zoom API, so it automatically created a workshop.
Right.
But I think we were just going to assess how many workshops come in first before developing that further. But that was a pain in the arse to be able to do that instantly. As you probably know, we create things and then think, oh, that'll be a good idea later, and then you'd have to go back and refactor a load of things. So now each product has like a tag against it to show whether it's an online workshop or whether it's just a physical product or if it's a gift card, so that we know how to deal with it, so that Silv doesn't have to go, into a manifest file to enter in every single product name. It's just not maintainable for the future.
No, but you're using your tech skills and knowledge to make this easier for yourself, but also for Silv to be able to manage it going forward as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the ultimate goal is for me to be completely hands-off and she can just expand the product any way that she wants.
That's a nice segue, actually. So what are the plans for the next sort of 6 to 12 months? Have you got anything in view? You mentioned subscriptions.
Yeah, well, definitely candle subscriptions will be great. I mean, my idea of doing it is offering candle subscriptions and also candle and coaching or candle and customized meditations for my customers as well. So again, I'm just trying to implement all that I do as much as possible, like include everything together, and trying not to separate things too much, because again, all that I do is can be all in one, really. As I said before, like candles and meditation. I'm studying as well, so I'm kind of always evolving and developing in the well-being / kind of therapy industry as well. So the idea is definitely subscriptions, and as well I have ideas in terms of coming up with different products that are not candles, but of course they're still well-being related. So yeah, I have a few ideas. I might not be able to share yet exactly, but definitely it's something that I think my customers will certainly appreciate for the future. And then we're also prepping for Christmas right now. I mean, this is something that we can talk about, but definitely it's the first time. We've never done it before, but I really would like to offer Christmas advent calendars, especially with tea lights and wax melts, and perhaps offer a wider range of scents or Christmas scents. So that's something that it's in the mix, and we're working on it right now because that's the time to do it. So yeah,
good timing as well, actually, because obviously you're going into Christmas autumn season,
exactly,
and you do have these different romantic smells that are linked to these times of the year. You're like, well, actually, let's try a different range and see what happens. And I guess you'll be able to get back into the markets now things are easing off with lockdown.
Yes, absolutely. Markets are definitely, that's something that I'm looking forward to, as well as kind of making workshops in person. So now it's the time to do it finally. And ideally it would be nice to still offer that option for customers to actually book in person kind of making workshops through the website still. But that would be nice because as I said before, like there are some pros and cons in terms of doing it online because you can do it also with customers who don't live in my near my area, but doing it in person is just a magical experience in my opinion. Just because like I used to also like I used to make banana bread for all my customers, and then I always offer different selections of herbal teas. So I really make it into, and you can create so many, you can offer so many options like birthday kind of parties where you make candles together, or even like hen-dos, or even for couples, right? So Valentine's, and so there are so many opportunities, and it's so much more fun when everybody is in the same space, and you get to connect and chat. So yeah, in-person workshops are definitely coming soon.
Wonderful. And it's wonderful to see you get so excited about and passionate about this, because it's not something you just have to do. You really want to do this.
Yeah, exactly. I think I just really miss the in-person connection.
Of course.
It's, I just miss connecting with my customers and just chat to them face to face. It's just completely different. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
You've talked a lot about, like the product and the business and stuff like this. But obviously you two are a couple. And you mentioned just now that you're trying to buy a house and all that stuff. How do you find time to do like non-work stuff together? And what's the trick for you two to do this?
It's a little tough. I'm one of those people that can just sit here with my headphones on in front of the computer and just type stuff out from 6 p.m. all the way up till midnight.
I'm not.
Yeah, very opposite.
I am not.
Nope.
And the last bit where she said that she's a very in-person kind of person. And the human interactions and connections. I think I'm kind of the complete opposite. I'm more the introverted and prefers. So yeah, I think most of the time we schedule, whenever we're seeing each other, we schedule a lot of time to just be able to time box some stuff together and say, we want to try and accomplish this by today. And we'd sit there, we'll do it together. We'll both be doing different things, but we'll be working towards the same end goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just be sure to reward ourselves afterwards, whether it's going out and just having a meal somewhere or having a few drinks or something. So it's almost like you're rewarding yourself for being able to take that few hours of pain or work or whatever to be able to just make it worth it.
It's that compromise, isn't it? I think it always comes back to this when you're trying to find a balance for fun side projects plus life. Something's going to have to give. And I like the fact you give yourself like a reward, as it were. We've finished it. Let's go get drunk. You're like, brilliant. That sounds fun.
I think it's about also kind of making a bit of an agreement, like just intentionally setting moments just to ourselves where we don't talk about work, because otherwise it's loads of fun working together and come up with different projects and stuff, but we kind of want to make sure that is not going to be just the overall topic of the everyday conversations, because then you kind of tend to miss then the actual couple moments and the connection that you need to have as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
So I think around that there has to be an intention setting and just scheduling ways like, okay, right now we're focusing on work, that's it. After work, we'll just focus about it, and we actually focus on spending time together, quality time, playfulness, fun, connection in that way. But there has to be willingness to do that.
Totally.
So yeah, there has to be an effort to basically.
Agreed. Because I tried to set up a little business with my wife last year. She had an idea to make mugs for teachers. It's like, cool, we can do that with some drop shipping, get Shopify set up, obviously not the best option. It didn't go anywhere, but it was quite fun to just have an evening where we go, what design should we do? And we came up with some silly, phrases and little logos and stuff. And we agreed, went, that's enough. Let's turn off for the weekend because we've got the kids now. You've got to be sure and disciplined around boxing that time together because you want to enjoy it and make something, but turn off as well because you need that downtime.
Yeah, especially you guys with kids, like, you also have to like spend the time with the kids and then just try and, just separate different moments of your life, right? So,
totally. Yeah, and that's the other element for us. Is like throwing kids in the mix makes it even harder, right? Because you got to give them time.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is another topic for another day, obviously. So it sounds, I love what you're doing with this Red Fox candles. You definitely tapped into a niche, but you're passionate about it. It's not like you just seize an opportunity. It's something that's come out of from core Silvia. But one last question for you both. What advice would you give to anyone else? I think we've touched on a little bit already, but what advice would you give to any other couples who would like to set up their own business or project together?
I would say if you are thinking about doing something, just do it. There's nothing worse than thinking what if, or having an idea and then seeing somebody else do it and it becomes successful a few years down the line, and you think, oh, we had that idea and we didn't act upon it.
Yep.
And I think one of the things that we also suffered, I guess both of us did, was sort of imposter syndrome. Being a QA engineer, I'm not a dev by profession, so I had a few moments of thinking, what am I doing this? There's always someone that can do it a lot better than I can. And I think everyone that has a business or is doing anything is going to hit that at some point. And I think you just have to realize that it's a phase and you will get over it, and you don't know what you can do until you try and do it, whether you fail or whether you swim. You're going to know, and you're going to get an answer at the end of the day, and you're going to be all the better for it.
Agreed. Two very big points there, though. JFDI and imposter syndrome. These are massive topics that everyone needs to try and deal with. But I agree. Yeah. If you don't try it, you never know. Silvia, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth taking the risk. And I think as a couple, or together when you partnered with someone else, it's just loads of fun because it's two different minds that have a different background. One person, you kind of complement each other in one person come up with different ideas. Maybe, one person say, for example, Eli is very good at kind of marketing / it's true though, like you're good at marketing, kind of selling ideas, as well as like layout, and how to offer best to customers, like how to offer the best customer service experience. And I guess I'm more of the kind of networking, creative side of things. I'm like coming up with ideas. Oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then we get together into the details to then come up and create the actual, the finished product.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about, I would say for couples, keep communicating with each other, have a vision board, write down together your goals, write down what you want to accomplish, and yeah, just embrace each other's differences and how you can use the differences to create something amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as I said before, just make sure that you set those times where when work is, when it's about work, it's about work, and then when it's about you as a couple, just honor that moment. So yeah, that's my advice.
Massive, brilliant advice there as well. Loads to take apart. I completely agree as well. I mean, utilizing your strengths rather than, sharing the risks and the problems together. I'm a geek. My wife is not. She's very creative. So we work well together too.
Yeah. Well, opposites attract. So
apparently so. Yeah. And all the best. Good luck with everything that you're doing as well. I'm really keen to see where this goes. I'm looking forward to the subscription boxes. They sound quite exciting.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Thank you.
Finally, how can people get hold of you and visit the website? Where are they going for all your stuff?
Yeah, so the website is redfoxcandle.com.
Yep.
Where you can find my products, and you can find as well my coaching options in terms of one-on-one coaching. Yep. And you can also find me on Instagram. I'm mainly active and present on Instagram, which is the redfox.mindfulness.
Right.
So that's my Instagram account. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cool. Nice. Eli, do you want to put anything out there for people to get hold of you?
Yeah, I don't really have much of a social presence, but I've got elyochula.com if you want any websites created, and I've got an Instagram pretty much documenting sort of journeys of what I'm doing dev-wise, and that's eli.codes.
Cool. We'll put them all in the show notes as well so people can find you a lot easier. Thanks ever so much for joining me. It's been brilliant. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have.
Oh yeah, that was lots of fun. Yeah,
it was really fun.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for organizing this. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure. And maybe we'll get you back in the future as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
she'll be a full-blown dev by then as well.
One day.
I'll know how to code.
One day. Excellent. Thanks ever so much to Silvia and Eli for joining me this week. It was great to hear about Silvia's background and some of the tricks they've used to get the products and workshops out there through their tech setup. Be sure to check out redfoxcandles.com for the entire product range, and follow Silvia and Ely on their Instagrams. All the details will be in the show notes. As for the podcast, we obviously love to hear your thoughts. Get in touch on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as @MakeLifeWorkPod. You can email hello@makelifeworkpodcast.com, or even visit the website makelifeworkpodcast.com for all the show notes and archives. And please remember to rate and review us in your favourite podcast app. I'll be back next time with someone else from the tech scene talking about their recent side projects on the Make Life Work podcast.